Good morning, everyone. A couple of announcements. We opened the practice period. Our Shuso gave a wonderful way-seeking mind talk. We have clearly entered the inconceivable realms. And I also just wanted to say, said it on Tuesday, I'll say it today. For those of us who maybe are attending the October 18th events. When I go, I wear my robe and I wear my rakusu. Each person will go or not go or find their own way in this time to express your deepest heart's yearning. So I just want to encourage people that if you go, how you go really matters. And the Avatamsaka Sutra will just be further of that. So let's all, how does a bodhisattva go to a no king's rally or not go? That's our calling. So Avatamsaka Sutra. I brought it today to scare everybody. See? Actually not, but it's really heavy. I didn't weigh it, but it actually is. It's quite a sutra. So we're gonna spend today, and then Rachel and I will spend next week helping us enter the Avatamsaka Sutra to lay the ground of it. And then after that, we will enter chapter 26, which is the 10 Bodhisattva grounds, which is a particular chapter, which I'll talk more about a little bit today, but just as a way to give it a context. So I'm going to apologize if I talk more than usual today, because I want to lay the ground for what we're going to do, for what we're doing. I'm going to begin with maybe repeating a little bit of what I said on Tuesday before Rachel's talk, from entry into the inconceivable, entry into YN Buddhism. It's a little book by, it's notably a little book by Thomas Cleary. He says, the doctrine shows the entire cosmos as one single nexus of conditions in which everything simultaneously depends on and is dependent on everything else. I mean, just that's inconceivable. So what is this, and what are we entering, and how do we live it? Everything is equal and of the same essence. There's universal interdependence, but not with the same characteristics. So you can't just sort of lump it all into this or that, or generalities, or even that about yourself or each moment. Everything is dependent on each other and everything else. And bodhisattvas work to benefit all equality without losing sight of diversity and the complexity of the means necessary to do this, which means we have to show up, which means presence, which means what's the appropriate response, which means a sense of wonder and curiosity and don't know. Okay, that's from Thomas Cleary. Now here's a little introduction from Tigan Dan Layton, who's he's one of my go-to people, because he's in our lineage, and he's a wonderful scholar. And I first found it because he loves the Lotus Sutra. This is another one of those sutras. So I want to share some of what he has to say. He says, Chinese Huayan Buddhism is considered by many Buddhist scholars to be one of the high points of Mahayana thought, even of world philosophy. So that's pretty cool. It's also pretty amazing that I think a lot of us and a lot of practitioners, well, especially if you're in the Vipassana tradition, this is Mahayana, like huge sutras. Vipassana is much more, well, especially in this country, just mindfulness ground. So the extravagance of this is particular to Mahayana, which is, I might add, why I love it. Major Huayan commentaries were active in China for a relatively brief period from the 6th to the 9th century, so really early. Maybe I never say this, but when I was in college, I was a history major, which is really surprising because I don't remember things and I don't track facts. But I've always been I just like, what's going on here? And history was one way to enter it. So Tigan says, the profound, dense, and challenging writings were never widely read. So it was probably just the elite. I found out yesterday, I went to a sanctuary coalition meeting, and someone who was there from the Latino Latinx community, I'm never quite sure what to use, is she said is that, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will because anyway, I found it that is the elite. Is that the Hispanic community who are active in sanctuary and trying to protect people, and is that there's a view that there's a layer of culture in Sonoma County that they call the settler elite. Is because we're not directly impacted. Anyway, that was divergent. Okay, Dan goes on. Nevertheless, YN, with its intricate dialectic philosophy, provides the philosophical underpinning for Zen and much of the rest of popular East Asian Buddhism and its offshoots in the West. So this is the ground out of which so much of this arises. In a minute, I found a wonderful essay or exposition by Thich Nhat Hanh on this, which we'll send it out in the November newsletter, but it's also currently on the website. I asked Shelley to post it because it's really good. So you can go. I'm going to read parts of it today, but you can go in and find it. Thich Nhat Hanh was memorizing and practicing with this in Vietnam when he was 16 years old. So we all think Thich Nhat Hanh's great. Well, this is the ground out of which his teachings and engaged Buddhism arose from. So even though it's a really important philosophy and ground of Buddhism and Zen, Taigen says the Flower Ornament Sutra is a very different type of literature. It consists of highly sumptuous visions. Are you ready for peace? That offer a systematic presentation of the stages in development and unfolding of the practice activities of bodhisattvas. And it's sometimes described, and as part of what we'll chant today during Sutra, during service, it was Shakyamuni Buddha's very first awareness upon awakening, great enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And the way it's told is that he woke up to this amazing understanding and vision, and then he went, nobody's going to get this. That was nice, but sorry, I'm just going to go off and practice by myself, and all of his vows about how he was doing this for all beings, and too much, and then Indra and all the gods were already into a sumptuous. Came and said, Shakyamuni, what are you thinking? you said you were doing this with and for all beings. And so he rethought it and yeah, okay. And then really grounded it in the Four Noble Truths and the early Buddhist teachings. But this is the ground of it. So here's again what Taigen says. This is to encourage us how to enter this. It's a samadhi text designed to inspire luminous visions and exalted experiences of mind and reality through the use of lush, psychedelic, evocative imagery. Who knows what's going to happen? So, enter it. You can't figure it out. He says this is not to gain intellectual comprehension. Rather, the accumulative impact of its profuse imagery inspires heightened sense of samadhi or concentrated meditative awareness. So we're just entering. And if we don't get it, it's okay. And if we think it's dumb, it's okay. I mean, whatever you think, it's like diving in the water and seeing what happens because it's being offered to us as one way to enter what's really going on here or what's not going on here. And he does say, this effect can best be appreciated by bathing in the imagery, as if listening to a symphony, rather than trying to decipher a textbook. Reciting it aloud is another practice. I know people who have spent years at Zen Center and other places where you just do, I mean, you guys could do that. Anybody really excited, you could form a little group and you could just spend the next few years reading. The people actually do things like that. But then he assures us that you don't have to read it in its entirety to experience the impact. And in fact, there are 39 chapters, but two stand out that are often brought forward as independent sutras in their own right. And one of them is chapter 26, which we'll be doing on the 10 stages or grounds of the Bodhisattva. And it's one of the earliest Mahayana sutras. So we're going way back in time. And the other is the end of its final chapter, entry into the realm of reality, which is all about the pilgrim Sudana visiting and everyday Zen. Norman Fisher has been doing that. So if you get really excited about this, and then you want to do a parallel, that's what they've been doing for some months there. Okay, everybody ready to just see what happens? That's I will also say, I think this is a great thing to be doing during this time. Because as we will come to, I'm entering now Thich Nhat Hanh's writings about it, is everything is mind. The basis of Buddhism is everything is perception. So we're conditioned beings and we just keep creating the same reality because this is what I grew up with. This is the culture I grew up with, I'm sure, except we're now noticing, which we always notice, but maybe really noticing, is that we have slightly different perspective than some other people who we sort of don't agree with. And they don't agree with us. And now we're fighting over reality. So the question is, what's the ground of this? And how do we talk to the different parts of ourselves and to everybody in the world and time and space and what's really going on here? So here's a little from Thich Nhat Hanh. The first teaching of the Avatamsaka Sutra is that everything is mind. Mind here does not mean mind consciousness, the intellect, the mind that says the little mind that you have going on in there that says, I like this, I don't like this, I'm me, and it means something deeper, something individual and collective. Don't worry if you do not understand. Don't worry if you do not understand. You don't have to understand anything. Just enjoy the words of this beautiful sutra. If they make you feel lighter, that is enough. Don't worry about it if they don't. Someday, with no effort at all, you will understand. Or I would say someday, this moment or the next moment, you will have a moment where it all opens. It's like a sunbeam comes through, and then the next minute, everything's just kind of like over there, and this and that, and it's kind of the way it is you just gradually walk in letting you go through. Straining your intellect only creates more obstacles. Listen deeply without using your intellect, and you will find yourself in the Avatamsaka world touching light, jewels, and lotuses. When you are there, you only have to touch and be touched. And one day you will penetrate the truth of interbeing, and it will penetrate you. Okay, so we set it up, right?
All set.
All set, here we go. Okay. Avatamsaka means flower, ornament, garland, or wreath, or decorating the Buddha with flowers. I thought this is so perfect. I mean, it's like our entry altar for the Shuso ceremony was just these huge, beautiful bouquets that Allie, Sherry's daughter, does, and I could hardly see Rachel yesterday through the flowers. So, and those of you who know me know I used to be co-head of the garden at Green Gulch, and it was the flowers and the herbs. It's always the flowers are sort of my thing. So that's probably why I like these sutras too. Okay, isn't the Buddha beautiful enough? Why do we have to decorate him with flowers? The Buddha in this person is not just a person, he is more than a person. This is all Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm going to riff on. So, Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us there was an historical Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, 2,600 or so years ago, who we have the story of Shakyamuni Buddha's life. He was born, he did this, then he got enlightened, and then he died at the age of 80. Actually, didn't realize he. But anyway, he was just like us. And most people thought that was the whole thing with the Lotus Sutra, was that was the shocking thing of the Lotus Sutra, is everybody said, or thought in that time, that there was just one Buddha. And then Shakyamuni in the Lotus Sutra says, no, actually, I just did that because it was skillful means. There are Buddhas across time and space. And people got up and walked out because they thought that that's not what they had been practicing believing. So here's some more shocking news. Okay. The Buddha called himself Tathagata, coming from suchness or reality as it is, or going to suchness, or one who comes from nowhere and goes nowhere. Because suchness cannot be defined by coming and going. So one of the things that comes up for me a lot is coming and going. I mean, you can't tell me there's not coming and going. We perceive coming and going, right? And there's no coming and going. No coming, no going. So how do you hold that as like the two eyes of the way a Buddha sees or perceives? In this world, show up on time. When it says come, come. When you go, you go. It's like it's very particular. Don't try to mush it all together. But what is it when simultaneously there's no coming, no going? The Buddha is more than form. They are the living teaching. When you practice the way of the Buddha, you are transformed and you are with the Buddha all the time. So here's a little bit about birth, death. That was good and helpful. Before passing away, the Buddha told his monks, "My friends, this is only my physical body. My Dharma body will be with you as long as you continue to practice. Take refuge in the Dharma. Take refuge in the island of self. The Buddha is there. The Buddha is here. You are Buddha. Everything and everyone is Buddha." Thich Nhat Hanh says his statement was very clear. If you touch the living Dharma body, the Dharmakaya, Marianne gave a talk on the three bodies of Buddha. The Dharmakaya body of the Buddha is always present and always alive, because wherever there is compassion and understanding, the Buddha is here. That's the Buddha body, compassion and understanding. That's our Buddha body. That's who we truly are. That's our true nature, compassion and understanding. And then we just get a little confused, right? Gets a little mixed up. So this is going to help us remember and come home to over and over again. In the midst of this and that, and life and don't likes, this is what a bodhisattva does. It's just stand right, sit, grounded in the vow to live compassion and understanding into waking up with and for all beings. Okay. Now Thich Nhat Hanh's going to tell us, this is like a movie trailer, a movie preview, going to tell us what's coming here. In the Avatamsaka realm, there is a lot of light. There seem to be some themes just sort of arising here that we didn't even plan on. In case you listen to what she says, talk. The Buddha and the Bodhisattvas are all made of light. We're all made of light. Beams of light shining in every direction, pouring out from the pores of every awake being here, which is us. You can see everybody's little light body shining. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, you become light, and then you begin to emit light also. So who are we that are these light beings that are also very earthbound, mass bodies, form bodies? When you practice mindfulness, meditation, presence, you too become a bodhisattva emanating light. And later you can open the door for others to come to. I always remember Richard Baker, my first Zen teacher. One of the things he said is that if one person walks through a square of people with deep intention, it changes the whole square. It's like, chemistry, when you pour something at those little things where you see something dropped in and then it just is, and I've always felt that. Is like that to me is, if there's a point of practice, I want to be one of those people wherever I am that can help be part of that chemistry, and we're all helping each other. Remember, I think that's a bodhisattva job. I think that's a joyful job. Entering the Avatamsaka realm, number 2. We encounter a lot of space, which I think is just, we're talking about zazen body. We encounter space. It's immense and without boundaries. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas there welcome us and offer us and invite us to infinite space. It's like when you sit down in zazen, it's like, hey, here you are. So glad you're here. We're just right here. And the times when you forget and really do like let yourself die or disappear at the end of the exhale, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all the light and space is just right there saying, woohoo, we've been waiting for you. And then, of course, the next thought says, yeah, well, what am I going to have for lunch? And, but that's all part of it too. It's just like, this is just normal human behavior. Thich Nhat Hanh says we feel very free and very much at ease in the Avatamsaka realm. The third, want to know the third?
Mhm.
You have to say yes.
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 Yeah. Good, thank you. Is in the Avatamsaka realm, there are flowers everywhere. Looking up, down, ahead, behind, to the left, and to the right, we see flowers. In fact, the flowers we see with become flowers. The ears we hear with are flowers. The lips we speak with become flowers. That's what it's like when you're in this realm. Everything is just blooming, blossoming. You still with me? There are enormous lotus flowers, big enough for 3 or 4 people to sit on. Now we're really into, whoa, somebody should make a cartoon of this one. Each of these lotus flowers has more than 1,000 petals. Can you imagine? And when we look deeply at one petal, we see that it in itself is another lotus flower with 1,000 petals. And each of these petals is also a lotus of 1,000 petals. And those lotuses are not smaller than the first lotus petals. And it continues on like that forever. Did I tell you that when I was in Vietnam, they grow, there are lotuses there? I mean, it's like, did they tell you this? Oh, and so I kept looking because when you're in India, you can buy lotuses and then you take them to the Bodhi temple. I mean, it's really beautiful. People are selling big bouquets of them and you buy them and then you take them into the Bodhi temple and you offer them to the Buddha. To me, it's like that in Bodhgaya, that's what I just thought I was in absolute heaven. So I got to Vietnam and I thought, where are the lotuses? I'm going to get to do this again. And I couldn't find them in the flower markets. So I asked our guide, where are the lotuses? And he said, oh, in Vietnam, we don't grow them for the flowers. We grow them for the seed pods open up and there's little, you've probably seen it, and there's little seeds inside. And that's what they grow them for. They harvest the seeds and roast them and they eat them like little snacks. Which is pretty cool that you get to eat the lotus, but on the other hand, that's the water kind of flowers. Okay, want to know the next one? Okay. In the Avatamsaka realm, we cannot say that one thing is bigger or smaller than another. The ideas of bigger and smaller are just not present, nor are the ideas of one or many. When we look into the second lotus and see 1,000 petals, each of them is also a full lotus of 1,000 petals, and we see the many in the one and the one in the many. It's just everything is deeply interconnected and arising, passing, no coming, no going, just is. Next one, oceans. Vast oceans. The word ocean is used many times in the Avatamsaka Sutra, and in fact, you might even find yourself chanting about it when we do seriously today. The ocean of merit, the ocean of happiness, the ocean of insight, the ocean of vows. We vow to bring happiness to many people, and our vows are so huge that only an ocean can fill them. It's how big a vow is. There are also, as if this is not enough, precious gems. There are jewels. It's a realm filled with jewels of insight, understanding, and happiness. And everything we touch becomes a jewel for our enjoyment. Touch something right now. It becomes a jewel in your enjoyment. It's a different way of touching, or just awareness, right? So maybe that's, Zen. Zen is just like Dogen's Tenzo Kyokan. It's just treat everything like it's precious, like a jewel, because that's what it is, and everything has its place, and there's a beauty and an order that's just inherent. here. That's the Avatamsaka leaking through into our Zen teachings. Everyone and everything here is a jewel. Every minute is a precious jewel. And in every jewel is a multitude of every jewel, of other jewels, and we don't have to accumulate them. One jewel is enough, because in that world, each one contains. So, mindfulness, slow down, pay attention. Each thing is the whole world. You're working in the kitchen. You pick up a carrot. You can't believe how amazing what a jewel a carrot is, or anything else. You can feel and take my heart with listen a minute about that. Just how differently we would treat everything on this earth if we knew this. Okay, now we'll get to the jewel net of Indra, which is used in the Avatamsaka Sutra to illustrate the infinite variety of interactions and intersections of all things. And that is woven of an infinite variety of gems, each with countless facets. Everything is multifaceted and shimmering and shining. Everything. Everything. And you might imagine we're talking about the thingness of things, but we're also talking on a cellular level and beyond the cellular level. We're talking just about the true nature of everything, which sometimes I think, we do know light, light beam comes through. When you look at the ocean, you see the shimmering on the top of the ocean. There are just moments where the solidity of everything, it's solid, but it's not solid. And you just got a clue from this realm saying, oh, it's always here, we're always here. The net is woven of an infinite variety of brilliant gems, each with countless facets. Each gem reflects in itself every other gem in the net, and its image is reflected in every other gem. Each gem contains all other gems. We do not need to be greedy here. Don't need to be afraid. Don't have to experience aversion, fight for anything. One small jewel can satisfy us completely. Maybe if we just dedicated ourselves to each day, just one thing in this mind completely, just to stop and let this realm open us. Okay, this isn't enough. There are clouds. We might chant about these today. Clouds of different colors. In the sutras, clouds represent rain, and rain represents happiness. And some of us may remember from the Lotus Sutra about Dharma rain. It's one of the most beautiful chapters of just Dharma rain touching and covering everything. And in fact, in the 10 stages of the Bodhisattva, one of them is extravagant names. You'll see, you can't believe the names of all the Bodhisattvas in the sutra. One of the Bodhisattvas goes through a Dharma stage cloud and makes many people happy with his or her Dharma rain. So it's a Dharma rain Bodhisattva. There are lion seats. You just sit down on a lion seat. It's fun. You might imagine you are sitting on a lion seat right now. Does that change anything? Who knows? There are parasols, just in case you were yearning for your parasols, that can keep you warm and comfortable. And then he says, because there is so much light, so much happiness, and so many jewels, etc., it is possible, remarkably, for Shakyamuni to be everywhere at the same time. And everyone in the Avatamsaka Sutra can do the same. We too can be everywhere all at once. Isn't there a kind of common saying that if a butterfly flaps its wings here, you can feel it on the other side? I mean, that's how subtle and minute and infinite and how everything affects everything else. From any point in the cosmos, people can touch us wherever we are and wherever they are. And we are not at all confined by time and space, which also means you think somebody died? You think that was in the past? You think that was finished? In the realm of coming and going, that's true, but we're in the realm of no coming and going. And so what is that? So that our actions and thoughts and deeds affect the past. The past is not stuck in the past. And it affects the future, which is pretty remarkable. It affects the great above and the great below. We penetrate everywhere and we are everywhere. Whenever someone touches something with deep mindfulness, deep looking, he or she will touch us. When you touch one, you touch many. And when you touch many, you touch one. Look more deeply and you will see yourself as multitudes penetrating everywhere, interbeing with everyone and everything. Your every look, smile, and word reaches faraway universes and influences every living and non-living being in the cosmos. Everything is touching everything else. Everything is penetrating everything else. That's a really different view than a bunch of things moving around in time and space, pushing each other around or grabbing on. It's just a whole, and it's simultaneous. We sit here, but our being, our presence pervades the whole cosmos. Listen and recognize it within you. All things have not come from anywhere because they are free from the ideas of being. That is the true nature of reality. We can only touch and experience things when we are free from the concepts of birth and death, creator and created, good, bad, right, wrong, up, down. And of course we do that. But this, everything's the same and everything's different. The cosmos is a mental construct. It's a product of our mind. Everything comes from our mind. Animate, inanimate, and just ideas. Everything is alive. Anything done to oneself, that's the whole being. Everything is linked to everything else. So it depends on the way we see form and emptiness. You know the Heart Sutra? Emptiness is form is emptiness. Same thing. And the mind never stops manifesting. It's just that's what it's like, the heart beating. It's like the little mind, you're just sitting there and you just think, would you just be quiet? Or if this one can stop, then I'll get it. But the mind, it's just secreting thoughts. That's just what the small mind does. The mind creates everything, our fear, our sorrow, our birth, death, winning and losing, hell, love, hatred, despair, and discrimination. If we practice, we will understand the way the mind constructs everything. So if you go on October 18th, what's the world you want to construct? What's the world we want to construct when we walk out of here into quote the world? Study the self, study the mind. Study the self is to know the self. The self is to forget the self, it's a dogen, which is to let it go, and then everything comes forward and enlightens you and awakens you. The nature of things, dharmas, is that they are born from our own mind. We are creating the worlds. The world as it presents itself to us is a mental construct. Look at that.
Gonna read it to us now?
Wow. You know, when they do a sutra reading into Tibet, I think they have sutras and part, I mean, I don't know anything, but I think partly they chant, but they also just take the sutras and they go like this. Okay, you just read the whole sutra. How are you doing? Are we enlightened yet? Okay, so, I warned you in the beginning, it just feels important to set the stage. For this, we are. I really can't be this stage. It's always doing.